Welcome back to yet another FPL video. Today we're talking about the best free hit team according to the Drafthound algorithm. I've been talking about Drafthound in my last few videos. I've been using it throughout the summer and it has helped me optimize my FPL team. There are many tools such as the fixture analysis, player comparisons, and also player rankings. And a lot of stats that I've used in my videos do come from Drafthound, so do consider subscribing to them as a pro tier member to gain access to all of those amazing tools. And we're going to use yet another one of those here today to talk about the best free hit team. There might be a few players that you disagree with, and I would encourage you to leave your thoughts down the comment section below, but I think there are maybe 6-7 really good picks that a lot of us do agree with. But of course there's always going to be the odd choice, you could say, from these algorithms. But once again, I do encourage the discussion to continue, not only in the comment section here but also across all my social media platforms, my Twitter, Instagram, DylanRCM, just like my YouTube channel, and the Discord server. All the links are in the description below. Join the FPL League as well if you want to compete against everyone else in the community. But without further ado, let's jump straight into this video. Despite facing Tottenham at home in Game Week 1, Flecken comes out on top for the 4.5 million goalkeepers and below, and I do agree with Drafthound in that regard. Now, it might seem a bit strange because there will be higher scoring goalkeepers according to Drafthound with predicted points, but the reason why Flecken is included is because according to the algorithm, it's best to go for a 4.5 million goalkeeper to maximize every single other position and be able to get those premiums that you want, and that's why Flecken comes in. Otherwise, the likes of Ramsdale, Onana, Edison, etc. would be the goalkeeper of choice, but Flecken is a bit more of an enabler. He's a bit cheaper, easier to get to, and that also opens the doors in other positions. So hopefully that is all clear. And the second goalkeeper is Forster. He is one of the more likely to start at 4 million, but Vicario was signed by Spurs to be the #1 choice, and despite being very shaky in the preseason friendly against West Ham, you would still expect Vicario to start in Game Week 1. But Flecken is the 4.5 million goalkeeper of choice, closely followed by the likes of Leno and Pickford according to Drafthound. If you disagree, then be sure to let me know. If you agree with the algorithm, because remember, Brentford are a good team and Flecken was very impressive last season for Freiburg, I don't think it's the worst choice in the world, but I can understand why some of you may be put off in terms of using him in your free hit team. The algorithm also favours going very heavy on the defence, going for 2 Manchester City defenders and also 2 Arsenal defenders on top of Estupinian. So in terms of template picks, the only real template pick is Estupinian. John Stones also has quite significant high ownership, over 20%. Gabriel is quite close to that metric, but Zinchenko and Akanji are a bit lower owned and more differentials recommended by Drafthound, just like with Flecken as well in goal. So when we're looking at this backline, it does look pretty good, and I agree with Drafthound that Arsenal and Man City have the best chance of keeping a clean sheet. You've also got Man United as well, who can't be forgotten, and Brighton. So I think it's going very heavy on these teams for a reason. I don't think the likes of Zinchenko, Akanji, and even possibly John Stones are the best FPL assets per se, but if they all start, they have a very good chance of a clean sheet, and maybe for some of those defenders, the bonus points potential is also there. And let's not underestimate how good Gabriel is in terms of scoring goals as a defender. Estupinian has attacking threat, especially from assists. So I think this back five is very solid overall. The very best option, I believe, is Estupinian in Game Week 1, closely followed by Gabriel. And I have to say, John Stones and Akanji look solid, but if Man City do end up signing Gvardiol, because this video is recorded in late July and the signing hasn't happened officially yet, then you would have some concerns about Man City rotation, and we already have those concerns, to be fair, but it would become even worse for the defenders if they signed yet another top quality centre-back who can also play as a left-back. Zinchenko is the one I'm not too sure about. So far in pre-season, he hasn't really featured, and I'm also looking at him, and Arsenal have other options. They can play Kivio as a left-back, Kieran Tierney, and also they've got a few other options there. Even Gabriel is capable of playing in that position, but Zinchenko isn't as essential as he was last season to the way Arsenal build up from the back, because Timber can play as an inverted right back and do what Zinchenko does in the midfield, dictating the play and also adding some composure and also more depth to the quality in the build up from the back. This midfield five also looks extremely solid. We have Mohamed Salah, who has an amazing record in Game Week 1, but it's worth noting that most of his opponents to start the season aren't as difficult on paper as Chelsea away would appear to be. But Mohamed Salah is one of the very best options, if not number one of all time in FPL. And I still think he's right up there with the likes of Harry Kane and Erling Haaland. We've also got Bukayo Saka as the Arsenal midfielder of choice, and the ownership from most FPL managers does reflect that. He is owned by over half the game, and I think that ownership will only continue to increase. He's gotten multiple assists in pre-season against the MLS All-Stars, and he also scored against Nuremberg. So Saka does look on it, very sharp, and he might be the best Arsenal midfielder, period. But I also like the likes of Martinelli and Odegaard, especially because of the ownership, and if you want to back a bit against the template. Mitoma and Gross also come in, and they both feature in my latest draft, so be sure to check that out as well. And I have to say, Pascal Gross is a fantastic differential against Luton Town at home, and he was another one that delivered extremely well in Gameweek 1 last season against none other than Manchester United at Old Trafford. Mitoma had a very poor end to the season FPL-wise, but we're all expecting him to hit the ground running and do extremely well in the first 3 game weeks of the season. And I do like the triple up in Brighton for the first 3 game weeks, but between game weeks 4 and 9, that's where the fixtures do turn sour. For a free hit team, though, that isn't really that relevant or important. The final midfielder is Eze, and actually, according to Drafthound, there's one midfielder that's even higher in terms of predicted points, and that is Mbumo. But we'll talk about the starting 11 later on, and also a few other alternatives in the defense as well. For example, instead of Akanji, Kyle Walker is actually slightly higher in terms of predicted points with 4.3, but I have gone for a bit of a safer option there in Akanji, and I've taken the liberty in that regard, but not that much difference in terms of predicted points. And apart from that, every single other player is put by the algorithm, by Drafthound, as part of the best 50-man squad for the free hit. The forward line doesn't look particularly strong, but only one forward is needed, and that is none other than Erling Haaland. We don't need to talk about him too much. We've discussed him plenty of times over the past year, and even before he joined Man City in UCL Fantasy, he was already a goal-scoring machine. Wissa does come in, and actually, when you think about it, Drafthound have gone for a triple up in Brentford with Flecken, Wissa, and Mbumo/Eze, depending on what you prefer. We're going to go over to Drafthound later on in this video, and I'll show you the auto-pick tool, which is very impressive, and also it helps a lot of new and veteran managers alike, so we're going to go into that very soon. And the other striker is Adebayo, coming in at 5 million, so you could argue you might as well just go for a 4.5 million striker like Sorare, and then save that extra $500,000 to maybe upgrade a defender like Zinchenko to Luke Shaw, or go from Flecken to a 5 million goalkeeper like Ramsdale. That's also on the cards, and once again, I think that auto-pick tool/assistant manager could become very handy in the upcoming season. But let's now head over to Drafthound and discuss the starting 11. This free hit team includes 3 of the highest scoring players in Game Week 1 according to predicted points on Drafthound. Erling Haaland is first with 7.9, and there's quite a bit of a gap between first and second. Salah is there with 6.3, and Bukayo Saka makes up the podium with 5.6. And the starting 11 is Flecken in goal, a back 5 of John Stones, Akanji, Zinchenko, Gabriel, and Estupiñán, a midfield 4 of Salah, Saka, Mitoma, and Gross, and only Erling Haaland up front. The bench includes Forster, Eze, Wissa, and Adebayo, and that is a pretty solid 50-man squad for the free hit. So let's now go into some of the technicalities. So with Akanji, as you can see here, with the auto pick tool, it will put Kyle Walker there instead. Do you think Kyle Walker is going to stay at Man City, and is he a better option than Akanji? He is heavily linked with Bayern Munich, for example, and he's not expected to stay at the club at the time of this recording, but I think Akanji is just a safer pick overall. So as you can see, it does switch between Akanji and Walker for that 5th defender. But the other one that I was talking about earlier in this video is Eze. If we use the auto pick tool here once again, it will go for Mbumo and a triple up in Brentford overall, which is actually very surprising because they are facing Tottenham at home after all. Now, one big weakness of this free hit team is the fact that there are no Man United players, and I would argue that they have one of the best chances of keeping a clean sheet. Now, Drafthound also agree. They have put them in 4th position in terms of keeping a clean sheet in Game Week 1, but I would actually rank them higher than Brighton, for example, and I think someone like Luke Shaw, Onana in goal, or maybe another defender entirely could be the way to go for Man United. But I think Luke Shaw and Onana are the best ways of covering them, and even a Marcus Rashford / Bruno Fernandes in the midfield is viable, and I would argue they have a higher ceiling than Mohamed Salah in Game Week 1 because of the fixture. Man United are very solid at home. Yes, they might not score that many goals, but you would still expect them to have a higher ceiling than Liverpool to start the season at least. So those are some issues maybe with this free hit team and the Drafthound algorithm overall, but I think it's very solid and gets most things spot on. And as you can see, they have now released a player comparison tool that has just come live to Drafthound, and shortly after this video is recorded, the predicted lineups will also be released, and that will happen sometime in late July. So there are so many tools here once you become a pro tier member, and you can use my link as well in order to do that. You've got the player rankings, and not only do you have expected points, you've also got chance of scoring, where Erling Haaland leads by a landslide with 71%. But there are so many tools here at your disposal, and I think the auto pick feature is probably the best of any website I've used in FPL, and it's certainly much more extensive and reliable than the one on the FPL website, which tends to be very inaccurate and gives you some very poor choices, to be fair, especially when you're trying to build a 50-man squad as we've done today. But thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's try to get this video to over 300 likes. Let's keep on pushing towards 20,000 subscribers and beyond. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the links in the description below for the Patreon, channel memberships, Discord server, and the FPL League. All of that is there. I wish you all the best of luck for the upcoming FPL season. I'd highly encourage you to join Drafthound as well, and I'll see you next time.